had my flashlight, she never could have done it.
That's the day I graduated from high school.
That's a nice age, too, 25.
It's the Pearl Show!
I love Lucy.
Not so long ago, all across America, a bluish-gray glow lit up millions of living
I got a
rooms.
haircut this morning. I promised my Babaloo I'd mention his name.
It was the height of post-war prosperity. There were modern conveniences that made life easier for average Americans, promising to make their lives more than average. And it was in this age of technology and convenience that the age of television arrived. The fuzzy picture brought small-screen heroes into millions of homes across the country, slowly replacing traditional family time. Americans everywhere tuned in, looking for something to watch, young and old, and at all hours of the day and in the evening. So in those early days of television, networks and local stations alike were willing to take chances. They were willing to fill the airwaves with almost anything, except snow or a test pattern. And one of the most popular ways to fill the local airwaves was to cater to kids. And in the 1950s and 60s, local children's programs electrified the airwaves. The Wild West came to Boston in the form of Rex Trailer's Boomtown. There was Romper Room, Captain Kangaroo, Buffalo Bob, and Howdy Doody. In the early days of television, kids' shows were it. And in Colorado, it was called Blinky.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You better smile. Happy birthday, dear Jill. I'd run happy birthday to you. And I certainly hope you have a nice birthday all day long. I have something to tell you real quick. I got a letter from a lady the other day, and she said, Blinky, when my children was about 3 or 4 years old, and now they're big, they were on your show, and they went home, and they says, I want to be an actor just like Blinky. Guess what they're doing today? They're in Cats in New York on the stage. How about those apples? Hey, we're going to have to say bye-bye from now to tomorrow at the same time. In the meantime, please stay out of the streets. Bye-bye.
Blinky the Clown hit the air in the late 50s. And over the next 38 years, Blinky starred in and produced nearly 10,000 shows, first in Colorado Springs, then in Denver. During his tenure, tens of thousands of kids sat under the stage lights as Blinky sang his vaudeville version of Happy Birthday. Eventually, many of those children grew up and brought their own kids onto the show. Most anyone who grew up watching Denver TV knew Blinky through the airwaves.
Children, good morning to you. Well, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Blinky. I'm Mark. I was on your show when I was 5.
How about that? Who are these two beautiful children?
This is my son, Jeffrey, and this is my little girl, Elizabeth, who's turning 5.
Beautiful children. All right.
Blinky's local fame started in what would be considered an unorthodox manner. In Enid, Oklahoma, his hometown, a young Russell Scott, just out of the service, was newly married. He sold sewing machines at the local Sears store. Russell had always loved the circus. As a boy, he and his dad would wake up in the middle of the night, drive out of town where the circus trains had arrived, and just watch.
I played hooky from work and go out to the lot
and walk around to the backyard, what they call the backyard. And that's where the clowns, see, they rolled the sides of the tents up so the air could blow through. In the midsummer, it'd be cooler that way. And they would sit out there putting their makeup on.
These people had exciting lives, and they got to travel all different kinds of places and meet new people, and always a new audience, and always somebody else cheering them on or making them laugh. And I just think it was, you know, kind of a drama. When you're a kid, that would seem exciting, I would think.
Enamored with the exciting atmosphere of a live performance, Russell was especially fascinated with a key aspect of the circus, the clowns.
And they only carried a little hand mirror. Put that makeup on, holding that little hand mirror. And I'd watch them, and they'd say, "Hi, how are you? Come over, sit down."
Back at home, Russell Scott and his wife were raising two little girls. Running off to join the circus wasn't in the cards, so Russell decided to create his own circus.
I stayed behind and said, well, if I can't join the circus, why not build one? Couldn't have a big one, so I built a miniature circus.
Now the top salesman of the sewing machine department at Sears, Russell had access to many of the newest machines on the market. And he used that knowledge and married it to his love for the circus, stitch by stitch. He began weaving together his imaginary circus world. He invested in expensive linen and sewed his own big top. Russell filled his big top with the players who would make his greatest little show on earth. One by one, he whittled away at pieces of wood, transforming them into miniature circus performers. There was a sword swallower, trapeze artists, and animals, lots of animals. A lot of patience and a lot of detail went into Scotto's miniature circus.
He had this miniature circus that he convinced my sister and I that he was making for us. And it was going to be so much fun, and it would be so cool, and we'd have this and we'd have that. And the only thing we were ever really allowed to touch in the miniature circus was we were allowed to paint bleachers. We actually converted the garage, I believe it was. They made it into a family room, but my father just took it over. And at one end, it was all miniature circus. And that's kind of how it was. It was like his hobby, and he could look at it and mess with it and play with it and develop things. And
Russell was all about detail when it came to his circus. The logos on the concession stand, the costumes on the performers. Russell created reality in the sights and smells of his circus, methods that, by today's standards, would never pass the health department.
I actually got horse manure and ground it up and sprinkled it in on the sawdust that was all over the floor to give it that atmosphere. I really got carried away.
Someone along the way suggested that Russell himself dress up as a clown and play host to his circus. And that casual remark changed Russell Scott's life forever. Russell invented Cirso the Clown to host Scotto's circus.
You're standing here telling us all about the circus, what made them tick. And if you're made up as a clown, you create more interest. Well, you had something there, so I started studying makeup. And I finally got a face that I thought was good, but like I said, I looked more like a carp than I did a clown, but I was trying. Otto Grebling, he was the tramp clown. And he said, Russ,